Hey guys, welcome to the Life with People podcast. I'm Teresa, and I'm super excited that you have found yourself here. To give you a little intro, I believe that community helps to bring meaning, belonging, and purpose to our daily lives. But sadly, we're more and more disconnected from the authentic forms of community we deeply long for. My goal with this podcast is to give hope that finding, building, rebuilding, or reimagining community is not only possible, it's within your reach. To release some vision and how you can move toward it, and to provide resources and tools to help make it happen. I'm here learning right along with you. I started this podcast from my own place of longing to build community in this odd, divided, disconnected world we find ourselves in. As always, I value your feedback from your own personal insights into what community looks like for you. So feel free to DM me, email me, take the community survey, send up a flare, do whatever you got to do, but please reach out. Also, do me a favor and subscribe to the Life with People podcast. It helps others find the show just like you. All right, here we go. Let's jump in. Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to Life with People. On this episode, I'm going to be reflecting on some parts of the conversation that we had with Daniel and Marissa Zheng last episode. So if you did not listen to that episode and you're curious, I want to invite you to press pause, rewind, go back and listen to the first episode. If not, you're just going to hear me processing away a little bit, which is totally wonderful and fine. And you're welcome here. You are welcome here with me. I am here talking to myself today. All right. So I'm reflecting on my conversation with Daniel and Marissa. And one thing that really stood out to me in our conversation was when Daniel encouraged us to not take things personally. Like if you're trying to make new friends or build community in a new place, in a new environment, in a new situation, sometimes it's not going to go well. Or sometimes it's not going to go how you thought. It might not be good or bad. It might just be not how you thought. And sometimes it takes, or not even sometimes, often, almost always, it takes time to build rapport with people to where you have meaningful connection. And so, in one point in our conversation, we talked about the length of time it can often take to build connections and build community. And Daniel at one point talked about how if you've had a bad experience, don't take it personally, meaning like don't give up. Don't bring that bad experience into your next interaction or to the next place where you're trying to build community and build relationships. And I think with that, I would say try again. If you have shown up somewhere, whether it be in a new workspace, a new faith community, a new group of some kind, and you invite someone into a deeper connection, you invite them to coffee, you invite them to dinner, you invite them wherever it is, you just try to strike up casual conversation and it kind of falls flat. Like that doesn't mean it will fall flat the next time. But if you decide to take it personally, or you decide to give up, that's when you kind of cut yourself off from being open to those connections, right? So, in the spirit of not giving up, I wanted to share with all of you a couple little stories of how I have failed in my attempts to make community and proximity, specifically in my neighborhood. When I first moved to the place that I'm living now, I didn't know anyone. Like I had some family about 15 minutes away, which is really close actually. But when I moved, it was the first time in my whole life I didn't move for a specific job or community or church or anything. It was a very practical decision. It was a financial decision. I moved closer to some family, which was really amazing. But as a person of faith, like there wasn't a thus saith the Lord. There was a lot of peace, but there wasn't a I'm going because I got a new incredible job or I'm in a new incredible relationship or I'm pursuing a specific dream. It was like, no, it was like 2021. COVID was still around, especially in my area. I moved to get out of a more condensed city and get into somewhere where there was a little bit more, it was a little more relaxed. It was a little less people. It was ironically. I love people, but yeah, there wasn't any big meaning, if that makes sense. I felt peace about it. I felt an invitation even from God to move, but there wasn't a huge, like, the sky is opened and this is the way I should go. And it's this big thing, right? So I got here and I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to get to know my neighborhood. I'm going to get to know my neighbors, I guess. I think I'll start there. Let me get to know my neighbors. So I got here, and one of the first things I did was I went to Costco, which, as a single person, I don't really have any business being in Costco, but I freeze a lot of things. But I'm in Costco and they had a huge thing of peaches. And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make some bomb peach cobblers and I'm gonna give them to my neighbors, right? So I get the peaches and I'm thinking, this is gonna be sweet. Like my sister-in-law and I perfected a peach cobbler during COVID when they were the only people I hung out with, really. And we perfected it. Peach cobbler. I was excited. I got these little dishes. I made this peach cobbler and I was like, I'm going to give it to some of my neighbors. And it felt like right as the peach cobbler was in the oven, the Delta virus hit. And all my neighbors basically locked down and refused to come to the door. And I just wasn't thinking it through. And so I was just like, I had peach cobbler. So I basically took my little peach cobblers and nobody would answer the door. And so I put them on the porch with a note. And then a few days later, I got the empty containers back on my porch. And that was that. That was it. The end. No, like, backyard hangs. No, nothing. That's it. Just little peach cobblers that became a sign of the virus that was still spreading. Okay. A little while later, I walk my dog a lot, walking my dog, and kept running into this sweet woman we met from across the street, kind of yelling. She'd be like, hey, like super, super friendly. I'm thinking, great, I met someone in my neighborhood. I have met someone. And she remembered my name. She'd see me and my dog. She'd yell, she'd wave, she'd jump up and down. And so I thought, this is an open door. So one day I see her and I just go, hey, would you like to come over for tea or wine? Like anything. Like, would you like to come over? She looks at me and she goes, oh, no, I'm just kind of busy, which that's fair. But it was surprising because she jumps up and down. She gets really excited when she sees people, right? And I keep telling myself that I'm going to try again. I'm going to drop a little note in her mailbox and invite her over for tea, but I haven't yet, So I'll just be honest. The next thing, story number 3. This is the tale of the failed pumpkin patch. I get this great idea. I've lived here maybe 9 months, and it is time to plant pumpkins. I like to garden. I have a garden in the back. And I thought to myself, I want to plant pumpkins and I want to carve my own pumpkin that I grew this year. So I think to myself, pumpkins need a lot of space. My front yard is dirt. This is a great setup for a neighborhood pumpkin patch. All I need to do is plant the little seedlings, plant the pumpkins. They will grow. The neighbors will come. I will pass out pumpkins to the neighborhood and I will meet people. And it'll just be the beginning of a fairy tale neighborhood experience, right? Which I know not all neighborhoods are this way. I have some friends who have great relationships with their neighbors and it's really sweet. And I just thought I could maybe magically make that happen, I guess. So plant these seedlings. I'm super excited. I have 5 pumpkin plants in my front yard on little mounds. I've done what I think I can do, and not a single one of those pumpkins thrived. Not a single one. They sat there as little seedlings. They got, they maybe grew to about a foot and a half. Pumpkins are supposed to get a lot bigger than that. They didn't, I just had never planted pumpkins before. And sometimes when you plant something for the first time, it doesn't go so well. And these pumpkins did not do well. They they just didn't do well. So no community pumpkin patch. Nope, no community pumpkin patch. Around this time, I also found rover.com. I don't know if any of you have heard of rover.com. Well, rover.com is an app where you can solicit dog services, whether it be dog sitting, dog boarding, doggy daycare. I have a dog and I decided he needed friends too. So I decided to open up my home for doggy daycare. I'm on rover.com. It is good practice to do a meet and greet with dogs just to make sure they can like handle each other, just to make sure they're buddies before someone drops their dog off for the day or for the week or whatever. And I began to notice myself when someone would come over with their dog for a meet and greet that was kind of like around my age, young professional, or they seemed cool. I would notice that I started to feel real awkward. Like on the inside, I was like feeling like I was kind of like asking them more questions, asking them personal questions. And I caught myself at one point and I was like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, you are trying to make a friend. You were trying to make a friend off of rover.com. And I actually did make one friend. So this isn't a total fail. I did make one friend from rover.com and we walked our dogs together and stuff. Um, but it's just one of those things where I had awkward conversations with a few different people from rover.com, but I got one friend. And I'm happy to say my neighbor directly next to me, we haven't ever sat down for a cup of tea or a chat, but we pass each other cookies. Sometimes she brings me burrito, which is amazing. She'll knock on my door if she needs help with something. Her and her husband, they're so sweet. They've helped me out from time to time. We have rapport now. We're not quite friends, but if I really needed something, I could knock on their door. So that is something great that's come out of my neighborhood deal. Telling you all these things. I'm telling you about my peach cobblers, telling you about the pumpkin patch, telling you about the cup of tea that never happened. I'm telling you about rover.com because these are some really weird, not weird, but these are some like strange things that I did trying to make friends in my new neighborhood. And I'm just curious, what have you tried? What has been something that you've tried that has worked, something you've tried that hasn't worked, something that you tried that flopped, like really flopped? Kind of like inviting my neighbor to come over for tea. I thought it was a shoe-in. I was like, hands down, this is happening. This neighbor is coming over and we're gonna have a nice chat. No, didn't happen. That's okay. Totally okay. Um, yeah, I'm just curious. What have you tried? What's the weirdest thing you've ever done to make a friend? Now, obviously, these are stories of failure, not stories of success. They're just a few little stories from when I first moved to this neighborhood. And the truth is, like, I've made lots of great friends and meaningful connections in my city. Uh, they just don't happen to be on my square block, right? And but one thing I realized is that me continuing to be open and continuing to try things in my neighborhood has set me up to be open to people wherever I go, right? Like if I can't be open and say hello to the person that lives next door to me, how will I do when I am anywhere else, right? And so I think what I realize in reflecting on my conversation with the Zhengs and then in reflecting on some of these little silly stories is that our failures or our attempts can keep us open if we don't let them shut us down. So there you go. Yeah, I want to know what the silliest, weirdest, craziest thing you've ever done to try to make a friend is. And I want you, if you want to, I want you to like and subscribe and share this episode and get ready for the next interview drop in a couple weeks. All right, guys, have a good one.